Bloodshed, horror, and utter grief left behind in Israel after a surprise attack by Hamas militants leaves more than 1,000 dead and thousands more injured.
This is Israel's 9/11, and Israel will do everything to bring our sons and daughters back home.
Israeli Defense Forces say it is evacuating more than 24 towns along the Israel-Gaza border, fighting still ongoing in 6 of those locations. What was a surprise attack has tonight turned into an all-out war. The time now in Israel just after 1 o'clock in the morning, and it has been some 40 hours since Hamas unleashed a deadly and devastating surprise attack on Israel. The streets right now at the Western Wall seemingly silent, save for the occasional blare of an air raid siren. But elsewhere, the fighting continues. And good evening. I'm David Navarro. Joe and Sandra are off tonight, and the coordinated attacks came by air, land, and sea. President Biden monitoring the latest development and pledging support to Israel. Meanwhile, Hamas claims it is holding at least 100 Israelis hostage at this time. Israel's government press office has confirmed that civilians and soldiers are among them. Eyewitness News reporter Lucy Yang in the newsroom with the very latest as world leaders gather at the UN to condemn the violence. Lucy.
Well, David, it is day 2 of this war, and the Associated Press is now listing the death toll in Israel at 700. Thousands more injured, at least 100 soldiers and innocent civilians believed held hostage. With no signs of a ceasefire, we expect these numbers to continue to climb. This is the face of war. This is the sound of war. And this is the human cost of war. Israeli soldiers and civilians taken captive. Yanni Asher believes his wife and 2 children, seen in this video, were among the innocents kidnapped by Hamas.
It was a nightmare came true. We didn't expect that it will be in such power. You know, we never thought that so many terrorists can pass the border, so many terrorists can do such damage.
Indeed, how did this Palestinian militant group launch such a large-scale attack this weekend without warning, striking by air, land, and sea? The Israeli military estimates 2,200 rockets were fired at them. Hamas brags it was more like 5,000. From high-tech to low, Hamas video shows their fighters crossing this border on foot and motorbikes. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu responded by declaring war and launching a counteroffensive, missiles flying in the other direction into the Gaza Strip Sunday morning.
Israel has the right to defend itself and its people. Full stop.
The U.S. now moving warships, including the USS Gerald Ford, and aircraft closer to the conflict zone, with promises for immediate shipments of equipment and munitions. With so many casualties on both sides of the border, hospitals are now being overrun. This one bombed. Medical supplies gone. Doctors Without Borders crying even ambulances are being attacked. Nothing is sacred. Israel has now called up tens of thousands of reservists to beef up its northern border in case the conflict spreads to neighboring Lebanon and Syria.
Right now, the focus has to be on the effort to get to repel the aggression by the Hamas terrorists, to push them back, and to put Israel in a position where this doesn't happen again.
We've struck quite a lot of Hamas's military targets in Gaza already, and we are preparing to expand that military activity and strike further targets.
The UN Security Council held an emergency meeting today. Meanwhile, rockets and artillery fire have been exchanged across the Israeli-Lebanon border. Hamas now admitting they received support from Iran for this surprise attack.